Hello, you, and welcome in eSpace. This is the entrepreneurship space here at the University of Geneva during the Global Entrepreneurship Week 2020. Thank you for tuning in. In a few minutes, we will go on this lunch break show for which we have the pleasure to welcome Taha Bahoua, which is the co-founder and CEO of Goodwall. We also have Rudolf Hitli, which is the founder of the Systems Change Foundation. We have Gaël Tran-Deletro, which is the president of ISX Switzerland, and Sebastian Moser, the co-president of the eSpace initiative. Thank you all for joining. So this lunch break show is organized in collaboration with Goodwalls and ISX Youth Future Day. So if there are people joining us from there, you're also welcome, more than welcome to this event. So the lunch break show basically is really about having students and young professionals, entrepreneurs, talk especially today about the COVID situation and how we've tried to maybe make the life of students easier or help them face the challenges that we are facing today and the uncertainties that the coronavirus situation has brought onto us. And for that, I'm happy to give the floor to Taha so that he can maybe explain a bit more the work that he's been doing with Goodwall to help students face this pandemic. Taha, are you with us?
I am.
You
Thank you so
are?
much for thank you so much for having us. I'm excited to be here. Yeah, the pandemic, starting off, it's pretty clear has had a profound impact on our society as a whole, but clearly on youth in particular. We look at the anxiety, the mental health impact it's had. We look at the economic reality or the economic consequences that have had such a profound impact on youth in particular. Often we say last in, first out, when it comes to employment as well. So we've looked at seeing what could we do to help. Goodwall is a community for the next generation to help them maximize their potential, impact society positively. Think of us as a pre-LinkedIn almost. We help them build up their profile, showcase themselves, and connect to opportunities. And what we saw with COVID was there were just so many fewer opportunities out there. And there was such a demand for support and inspiration and confidence amongst youth globally. So what we did was we said, what could we do? And what we did was we came together with some partners. Some of them are here, ISEC, Rudy, and the System Change Foundation. We came together and we just brainstormed very quickly. And we said, listen, from ideation to launch, I think it was like a few weeks. We just had this idea that we came up with on a Friday evening. Like, we should put some sort of virtual online program that can help tens of thousands of youth around the world build up skills, get recognition, almost like a virtual internship, if you'd like, and then connect to opportunities, whether they be funding for startup ideas, whether they be jobs, whether they be scholarships for educational opportunities, all within a learning experience that would be meaningful and supportive and encouraging. We said, okay, and we came up with this concept, which is called Better Together, from scratch. And we launched this alongside 35 leading international organizations. So from the UN, it was actually launched at the UN Secretariat in New York. And alongside the executive director of YMCA, we had the Olympics, we had all kinds of amazing organizations, public, private, student. Of course, ISEC was involved, various other student organizations involved, the System Change Foundation, and we all came together and we brought, in record time, we brought the various strengths that we had to offer. So we had over $25,000 worth of prizes that we offered. Pearson Education offered free courses. We had Walden offering money. We had Monster work with us to connect to jobs, which was amazing. And organizations that normally would not work together came together in record time to help youth. And we brought together 60 speakers over 5 weeks, from the goalie of PSG to Netflix stars to CEOs to youth advocates. Unbelievable, and essentially it was all about being a better you. So 5 challenges around being a better you. What are your goals? What would you like to achieve? And how do we make a better world? Better you, better world. Tell us about your local NGO. Tell us about how we can impact society positively. And I think this is so important within the COVID context. Youth need to think about how do we better ourselves, but how do we better our world? And so, yeah, over 50,000 participants from all around the world. And that was exciting. Apart from that, We had a Swiss Futurepreneur Award here in Switzerland, which was financed with various states. And we did alongside Jenny Lem to help youth essentially pitch their ideas and receive startup financing on the back of a 60-second Shark Tank-like pitch. That was really exciting. We had Hoos Awards run over the past months with Rudy leading that. And the System Change Foundation, we financed, just to give you an example, a gentleman called Derek, super young. The money that he received based on his pitch basically paid for homeless children to find a shelter during COVID. It's unbelievable. I think we sheltered close to 50 young kids thanks to his work as a Goodwaller and thanks to the Hoos Awards and the pitch that he did. So it's we've done a lot, and it's all because it was a multi-stakeholder collaboration. Goodwall would never have been able to do it alone, but it was about bringing people together. And now, on the back of that, the momentum has been huge. So as we speak now, because of that interaction, we now have Youth Future Days with ISEC that Gaetan will talk about. We actually have another Better Together running right now alongside the African Union, alongside the UN, alongside various other governments. It's incredible the momentum that's been created on the back of this. And this was all just a youth initiative, right? So I think there's a lot that's being done, but there's a lot still to be done. And I hope we can really do a lot more.
Thank you, Taha. Thank you a lot. Rudolf Hilti, you are the founder of the Systems Change Foundation. Can you give us a few words about the work you've been doing until now?
Hi together. Yeah, just to start with, I'm born in a country which is of a size of a village from Liechtenstein. And as we know, we have to think big, especially if we would like to change things. But it's not only to think big, it's to think different. But that's a really difficult thing because usually it's too far away. And for me, I'm born in this small country. It was always easy to understand a complex system because for me it was not far away. And that was the reason. It's not about Liechtenstein at all what we do, but it was just a starting point to say, let's start here, the System Change Foundation, because it's easier to imagine a different reality of system change because it's possible to think different. And that was the reason that we started this foundation. And as well, that we say, look, in this world, we are not in the industrial age anymore. We are in the digital modern era. Everything and everyone is one click away of each other. It's always Goodwall. You can see it. It's one click away of everyone, more or less. And that was the reason that we said, look, we would like to think without the box, not outside the box, because the box is not there anymore. As well for climate change, there is no box, there is no nation, there's one global problem. And but we have so many agendas in this world, and usually you do not speak about the agenda, they're just there. And this is the same as a small country, small Switzerland, little brother. So it's a good place to build a place where we say, look, it's free of higher agenda, it's topic, it's on the forefront. And that was why we with the foundation. So we have several things like one yearly forum. Vaduz is next to Davos, so we started our own format, the World Systemic Forum. Goodwall is there from day one. And then we have the Who's, the house. It's just a house where we bring people together. And we said our plan is to have these 5 steps. And the first is, let's help people to reimagine complex systems and build trust in a different thinking, because by telling them it could be the truth, it could get done somewhere. And then the second step is to build a network, but not only with decision makers, because in this new reality in the digital modern era, especially opinion leaders, they have a lot of power and reach. And so we try to get opinion leaders, decision makers, experts, creative minds, all together under a roof. It can be an opera house, it can be a schoolhouse, it can be, or we do something inside a mountain, it doesn't matter. It's just a roof where we bring people together and we start discussions. And out of these discussions, projects arise. It's not that we do the project, but we bring people together that they discuss and that they think bigger and different. And out of this, projects are arising. And then we see idea, because when we talk about system change, it's not only about technology. Technology is by far the easiest point. It just needs a lot of money. The problems are more policy change and behavior change. And behavior change and policy change needs a new trustful relationships. It needs a different thinking. It needs a different culture. And with a different culture, new reality which start in us, we create these new policies, because policymakers listen to the people. And yeah, I think as well now with COVID, you see, or it was, people can, or COVID made so many things real, what was not the case in the past. And I think as well, we should now, especially after COVID, we should take these new realities, or this, that it's now easier to think different, because we have seen a different reality, what nobody was thinking about before. And if we use it now smartly to change many things for the future, I think we can take good things out of it as well. And this is as well what we are trying with Taha and with Goodwall. That's why we created these Who's Awards, micro awards. It's more to stimulate people to do better. But it's not just that we finance project, we finance people who are doing projects. It's also people are in the focus what we do. And yeah, we are always looking for the right partners to scale this vision globally, because there is no box anymore. It's one world, it's one problem, it's one thing to solve.
Thank you a lot, Rudolf. Gaetan, you're the president of ISEC Switzerland. So I've heard that you've been in touch with Goodwill and you've built an initiative. Can you tell us a bit more about that?
Yes, of course. Like, first of all, thank you so much for having me. I guess if we want to go to the part like the collaboration with Goodwill and what we're doing, you first need to understand what ISEC is doing. So the goal and the purpose of ISEC is to develop leadership in youth people. And before COVID, we were doing that in two simple ways. First one, we were sending and receiving people abroad for like going to do a volunteer or doing like, for example, working in companies. The second thing that we were doing was pretty simple. We were like organizing like physical events to put company in contact with students, like workshop. We were doing career fair and everything. So we were like kind of professional in that. But then COVID hit. And we're not only impacted in some part of our business model, on some part of what we're doing, but in pretty much everything. Because like, forget about sending people abroad right now. Universities are closed. There is no way to bring companies, startups to university. So it was very challenging for us. And then at that time, we're asking ourselves, okay, what should we do right now? Because when it comes to sending people abroad or to organizing physical events, I have a huge pile of book with good case practice, very easy for me to do that. And like the question came, like, okay, should we postpone everything to 2021? What is the right thing to do? And during the planning with my team, we kind of figured out that now is more important than ever to be able to, to give youth opportunity to make sure that youth, like young graduates, can be in contact with startups, with company, because like, yes, the world doesn't stop right now. They still need job, they still need opportunity, they still need inside if they want to build up their startup. So at that time is when we met the first time. Taha, the CEO of Goodwill, he came to one of our conferences, and there we start thinking about how we could do that online. How could we create this opportunity online? And the idea of YouthFutureDay came up. And the idea was, okay, we're used to do a physical work fair, like it was called Carry Days. It was working. Now, how we can put that together online? How we will do it? So with like the cooperation with Taha, we put that together. And like today, like the event is live. And we managed to have like company coming for workshop presentation. We have as well booths where you can like, if it was like a physical event, but just it's online, but you can go on the booth of the company, you can chat, you can have one-to-one. So yeah, I think like if I can sum up that today it's more important than ever to still fight to give this opportunity, even if it's a bit different, even if it's a bit more difficult. But at the end, I'm pretty sure that we can do it, and it comes with like finding the right partners. For example, with TAS. So I'm very glad that we can put that together today.
Thank you a lot, Gaëtan. And now I turn to Sébastien. Sébastien, you are the co-president of eSpace, this initiative. You're also the president of Innovation Time. How come eSpace?
Before I talk about eSpace, one thing I saw from the three of you guys, you've been saying that we have to adapt to this new situation, and I think that today is more important than ever to think about how we can have an event virtually, as we're doing now with eSpace. But it's important also to think of the future, because we don't know when it's going to stop, when we're going to be able to do things back physically. And so today you always have to think in a two ways your event, and that's we did with eSpace at first. It was I think it was in March when Mylen and I started thinking about eSpace, this project, and we didn't really know that we would do it completely live with speakers online. We knew we had to adapt because it was already COVID had already hit here in Switzerland, but in this process of development of the project, we've been always asking ourselves how we should exactly do the project in order to answer to what people are expecting, and respecting always the norms, the sanitary norms. So it's been very challenging for us to make this project happen in a way that would fit others' expectations. And I think that if we're talking about the future, what is important today is to talk, to discuss, to have a dialogue about what's going to be happening in the future. That's also the topic of today. How can we benefit from the evolution of work? I think that the project you're having, ISEC with Goodwall, is a great answer first to that. But eSpace is a space in which we can talk about engagement, entrepreneurship, the future of work, disruption, as we did yesterday, and how can we become also the entrepreneur of tomorrow. We're going to be focusing on that tomorrow. Yeah, so that's pretty much that. It's a space for us to talk about all that, to try to have an impact, and to see how we can develop some projects, develop some ideas in order to make the future a bit better.
Mm-hmm. And I see also in this perspective, and building on what everybody has been saying, the importance of collaboration, right? Just here on this stage, we have, I don't know how many associations represented. You are the president, co-president of eSpace, president of Innovation Time, president of ISEC. I'm the co-president of Innovation Time, but also the president of ASUNI, and actually another association involved in this project as well. Then we have Taha, which is also a global shaper. We did not mention that. Then we have Rudolf, the Systems Change Foundation. So many entities involved. And then I don't even speak about the sponsors, the partners that you have here on this logo over there, and all the other co-hosts that have been co-hosting sessions here in this entrepreneurship space. That can be the Global Shapers, the Trust Valley, Icon, the Chamber of Commerce, and I think that people also don't really see that often, or they don't seem to actually take and acknowledge the importance of that, which is that you don't just create something on your side and just deliver it to people. You have to build something together, and today we are inviting you in this space. In this space, maybe tomorrow you will invite us in your space, and I think that that's exactly how the work kind of goes. And that's when I want to go back to Taha, because you've been doing this, but at a much bigger scale with your initiative. How was it to actually, and how did you manage to actually convince all those stakeholders, which also do have sometimes very competitive interests? How did you manage to get that to work?
I think it was interesting. I think there's two elements. One is getting certain elements to work together, and the other is getting them to work. Right? We're talking about some of the largest organizations in the world. Some of the largest private companies, some of the largest non-for-profit companies, some of the largest student-run organizations, and getting them all to come together in a record time, right? Like because the thing is, it's great if we all come together in 2025, fantastic, and but it's like, how can we come together in a meaningful way where we're not just discussing, but actually getting something done, right? It's one thing, bringing people together to discuss, it's super important and it's critical, but it's like, people are more inclined to do that because they're like, okay, we'll talk, but there's no commitment. There's no engagement, right? I'm not putting money on the line. I'm not putting reputation on the line. I'm not putting resources on the line. What we did was basically say, look, we came with the approach, which was do what you can. This is the problem. It's a very clear problem. Do you guys want to join? Do you guys not want to join? And what we found was, and we just said, look, this is what we're in. We're super transparent. Obviously, as you can imagine, a Better Together program, with the scale we're talking about, the resources being allocated is huge, right? But all we said was, look, this is what we're putting down. Give us what you can, and let's go together. And we know these organizations quite well. Some of them, they know us, they trust the work we do. But normally it would take 6 months to bring someone like this into the loop. Getting them on board in 6 days is like, this is not normal. And I think this is a response to COVID. People understand that this is a new reality. We need to move now, not in 2022. We need to move now. And I think we were just super transparent and super honest. We said, this is the deadline. You guys are in or you guys are not. And people came on board. And that was amazing. And then in terms of their competitive nature, they realized, we're all in this together, really. And nobody has enough resources to solve the crisis coming forward or the crisis that we're living in alone. And once they realize that, and I think there's been a lot of humility that's been developed by this or in response to this COVID crisis, where you realize it's like put us as a society on our knees. And there's no one, not the government, not a private company, not a student organization, not a technology company that can solve for this by itself. And that's where we're like, okay, let's leverage each other's strengths. And they said, okay, we all have the same goal. What we want to do is help tens of thousands of youth in the most deep way possible. So if I don't have the leading learning company in the world offering courses, if I don't have the leading job company in the world, if I don't have the leading student company in the world, if I don't have the leading NGOs, how can we actually deliver on that promise? And so that's where we say, okay, we collaborate. And in the end, everyone wins. This is the great thing. Everyone came closer to their vision, and we went further together, literally, and it just would not have been possible if we didn't have everyone involved. So I think, transparency, honesty, and just clarity on what we're doing is what made it happen. And maybe you should ask ISEC why they joined, and why did they come together?
Yeah, we will go to ISEC in a minute, but I just want to head to Rudolf. Rudolf, so you've been yourself, you said, organizing an initiative, going, for example, to Davos, if I understood correctly. But concretely speaking, if you had the possibility to redo what you did a second time, would you have a different approach in the way you would organize those meetings and those people getting together? Do you have any learning experience that you will share with the audience?
A good question, but it's not that we go to Davos. We just create.
You create your own.
So we created a parallel thing around it. Now, I think for us, it's for sure all the time. I would do things different afterwards, but I think that doesn't matter because in the end, it's about us, how we think and how we see the world, and that's why we say, let's think different. But to think different, you have to believe in that what you do. And you have to believe in an outcome. And I think that's the problem with the problems, what Taha described before. Nobody has the money to solve all global issues and problems. And if you don't see the point that you can change it, you will not start it. And what we like to do, or I do, and what we with the foundation, with the partners say, let's help people to think different by believing in a real outcome. But like every technology starts in a lab small, but somewhere. And if you have it, you will do it. It's the same if you have a new technology in the market, something new, there's no way back. But until the moment it's coming, nobody believes in it until few people. And I think for me, I'm so super open about different future. And maybe I'm crazy enough to believe in it, but if you believe in it, you will do it. And I think that's for sure there would be different approaches sometimes, but the vision would still be the same.
Mhm.
And we have to we just have to reimagine so many things, and then we have to start. And nothing has to start perfectly, really nothing. But we have to make it perfect.
I think
And that's a long-term journey.
it's a definitely a valid argument, and I really love your answer. And so, Taha, the question for you: why did you join?
Uh, for a lot of reasons, for sure. But maybe what you need to understand first is, as I said before, like ISEC knows how to run events, how to physical events, how to do a lot of things. When I got elected on as president in December, I was like, oh, I have a lot of idea on how we can do exchange better, how we can do our physical event better. But then I realized that everything is changed, and we're going into something very new that we don't know. And like for us, we didn't have any knowledge how to run, like for example, the platform of Goodwall and everything. So I think what is important is like right now, each of us have different skills. For example, Goodwall came with like the beautiful platform and everything that I have just no idea how to do it. And in the other hand, like we have contact with partners, with students, with everyone. And I think like it's just like, okay, we need to work on our own strengths, and together we can bring something. And something that Taha said is like, we need to move fast. We need to move now, because we cannot wait 1 year to see how it will go, and to see it, and to think about the project, and maybe take 3 months to discuss it before going to do something. And that's what we really like about Goodwall, because like, as I said before, Taha came to one of our conference in August. We sit and we say, okay, then we'll do the event in November. 4 months, let's do it. Then we onboard our teams, marketing teams, all our like 300 members, and we work together. And of course, it was not perfect. And maybe if we do a second edition, we will do a thing better. But what I really like is like the willingness to do something and to act right now. Because like as I said before, I don't think it can wait. So that's pretty much why we joined.
And Sebastian, so you mentioned that we kind of ideated this initiative back in our rooms in March this year. Was it already planned? Perfect. Was it planned in this room? Like, how did we really like conceive everything from scratch to get just the two of us perfectly? And concretely, how did we come to this?
Yeah, first, before answering the question, I want to rebound on what Gaëtan said. You talked about the fact of diversifying the skills, the competencies, and the focus of everyone that's working on a project in order to make something happen much better. And I think that's really important, because even now at the moment we're doing that, because we're focusing on eSpace, and we're inviting, as you said before, people that are focusing on other points, and joining all that we can do something great. But also within a project, within something, as you said, it's important also to diversify the skills. That's what we did with eSpace, because I think the two of us couldn't make it happen at all. We don't have the right skills to make everything happen, and that's very important to know that there is an amazing team behind everything that's happening here. And yeah, I just wanted to say that, because it's a crucial point, and even more now that we're going live in everything we do. And yeah, to answer to this question, we didn't plan even to make it in this room. I think it was 5 days before the event. We've been informed that we had to shift the event from the place we were planning to do it since I think it was since April, and we had everything confirmed. So it's also the point of adapting every time, because you know you're gonna have some changes. We don't know if COVID is gonna continue for 3 months, for a year, for 2 years, and that's I think the keyword is adapting. Even yesterday we had some struggles by when we started the event, and that's also how it works when you try to do things. And it's the Global Entrepreneurship Week, and if everything goes right, it's because you're not enough. How do you say that? No, it was just on Monday I had a conference with the co-founder of Twint that Innovation Time organized, and I think he ended up the conference by saying that if everything seems under control, you're not going fast enough. And that's I really love this sentence.
This idea of really moving fast, and I think that's really also what brought us together. We had the possibility, basically. Someone told us, well, we can allocate a budget to an idea you could have, but you need the idea in 2 days. And that's exactly how eSpace came to be. It's like we had 2 days to come up with a budget, to come up with a concept, and we really did that together. And then, as he said, recruiting the right people with diverse skills. Even the two of us were so different. And that's what also made the collaboration so fruitful, because everybody is bringing something together. And then when you add the whole team together and all the people behind this event, you have, for example, Nico, which is an excellent graphic designer that has done the website, that has done the Instagram, something that nobody in the entire group is capable of doing. And if you don't communicate on your event, you're not capable of doing it at all. And really this idea of we are a team already and we have to collaborate on the inside. But not only, we need to collaborate on the outside as well, because alone our group cannot do it. I think that's really key, and also this notion of resilience and adaptation. You have changes all the time. Yesterday we had a panel, so basically like a bit like this one. We were supposed to have 3 moderators physically here, and then just maybe 10 minutes before the event, one of the speakers said, "Well, I'm in quarantine, so how do we do?" And then you have to come up with a solution with the Zoom. Today I just called Taha and we said, Taha, we have to do the event today. And we were like, okay, yes, that's right. that's today. But that's how you organize. And everything is running smoothly. And suddenly we were supposed to be 3. Now we are 5. And that's how you adapt. And I think that's how we learn. And Taha, you were mentioning this idea of also doing things. What is the nature of failure and the role of failure also in entrepreneurship? Because that comes with doing things fast, right?
Yeah, I think when we say I think it's a very good question. If you're not failing, at least sometimes, it probably means you're not taking enough risk. That risk can be manifested in not going fast enough. It can be in trying things that are a little bit wacky. It can be trying things that just don't make sense. Now, I remember one of our first investors said to me, one of the reasons why I invested was because this sounds just crazy enough that it might just change something. And you have a lot of ideas like that, right? When it starts to get really, risky, either in terms of idea or execution or time frame, well, then there's also a huge upside potential. But when we look at the execution front, so that's more in the ideation. When we look at the execution front, it's if we look at some of Rudy's initiatives, they really are out there and risky. But that's where the change happens. And if we talk about the Youth Future Day, which is a good one, or even Better Together, our team is constantly worried, and that's where also within a team you need to have a good balance. We are lucky we can take these risks because behind the scenes are some really, really capable people who just get things done. And my job is to push the limits, or part of my job is to push the limits and make sure we're always a little bit in the red in terms of either ambition or speed or scope. But then behind the scenes, we have some amazing people who make sure it gets done, alongside us. And and you deliver almost always. And when you're not, I think we're lucky that we deliver almost always. I think where it's okay to fail is when you set expectations correctly. So in all of our partnerships where we're pushing the limits, we're very clear and frank with our partners about how we're pushing the limits and why. And if we're all aligned in terms of what that means, then it's fine. And everyone's okay with it. But generally, culturally within Goodwall, failure is totally okay. And it's just, are we willing to learn from it? And if we are learning, how are we doing it different? And I really don't mind if we're failing a lot. In fact, when we're not, that's when I start to get quite worried.
Thank you a lot, Taha, for this perspective. So coming back to you, Rudolf, what's your take on that? Do you maybe also have examples of initiatives you've launched that maybe did not succeed for X or Y reason? Anything to share with the audience?
Yeah, sure. We are super flexible because we say it's not about. That's why we say it's not about the event what we do. It's about the people coming together with this new thinking and I think once it was a real case that so we had really cool people. So we had someone from Germany from the ministers. Then we had Jay Paul from MIT, this Nobel Prize group. Then we have really well-known huge family office all there, and then. Day before our event location, okay, it was at my private apartment, and I had that issue in the apartment. Everything was wet, and I said, "Holy shit, what should I do?" And then it was the best thing ever. What happened to us because we went to a construction work. A friend of mine was building a house, and we said, "Can I have it?" And I said, "What would you like to do?" And we said, "I will put a table in it, and I will have a really, really cool. I have cool people there. Here, let's do it." And he said, "Yeah, sure." And then the people thought, "Hey, wow, what you did! There was super actors," and I said, "No, nobody was. They really did their job. It's not. They didn't know that we were coming. It was so flexible. People loved it because to think different, you have sometimes to go a different approach, but that needs a lot of trust to do so. So I was lucky that I had this issue. So that was the reason I did it. I think I wouldn't have done it without the problem at my apartment. So sometimes you need this problem, and then you do something different. Or the events, what we do, so we're doing inside a mountain. This mountain was used in the past for military reasons to testing things. Or in Berlin, we can use an opera house, or in Africa, a schoolhouse, and it's for us just so we just need place that we can inspire people, but nothing has to be perfect because perfect it's usually it's not the reality because the world is not perfect, and it's not there if you pretend to do so. Nobody thinks different. Everyone would do the same, and if you would like to inspire people to go a different journey, you just have to run and to go on, and you need. I think the most important thing is that you have a vision. And the power to imagine a different reality, and then you just have to do, and you have just to try. For sure, a lot of things will not work, but if you have a good vision, you will find your journey. Yeah, be proud of yourself and your group and your organization, and then just run and try things out. And yeah.
And maybe going back to you, Gaetan, we said just do things. In some ways, you were elected as president of ISX Switzerland in December. Of course, COVID came and made everything more complex. At some point, you need to plan ahead, or people like in general to plan ahead. You need to have an agenda and everything. In your opinion, at the end of your term, maybe in December is coming slowly, do you feel that you've done what you wanted to do, or are you maybe even satisfied with the things that you've done, which were actually not the things you had planned at all? Like, how do you navigate change?
Yeah, I think it's a good question because, like, something is for sure, I have not done what I've planned. I think at the beginning, when I came in front of the plenary of ISEC in Switzerland, and when I applied for being the president, not everything changed. Not because of me, but because of the context. So of course it's very challenging. But when we understood that COVID was coming with my team, what we did is we planned on 3 scenarios. Like first, like COVID is coming, second is going better, like different option. And I think that was very useful. And we tried to foresee a bit what would happen. Because what I think is like, yes, of course, like COVID is challenging. There is a lot of things that are very difficult, but we try to take it as an opportunity to strengthen, for example, our partnerships, to do things differently. So at the end, of course, I didn't achieve what I wanted in the beginning, but I think it's okay. Of course, like along the road, we did of course some mistake because it was new, because like we were not fully ready about it. But I think it's as well what ISEC is all about. Because the pretty much the idea of ISEC is giving the possibility to youth to have like concrete experience. Like for an example, like I just finished my bachelor in political science, and now I'm leading 300 people and trying to do things, new thing. So like just to sum up and to talk about like what I said before, like I think like this fine if we're not planning what we're supposed to do, even if we fail. But for me, what is important is like to learn from your failing. Because like something that I was doing karate before, and something that my coach all the time told me was like, either you win, either you learn. So I think with that mindset is the right mindset to move forward and then try to bring things forward.
Mm-hmm. Moving forward in using this word, Sébastien, you are the president of a wonderful association called Innovation Time, which you co-founded. Is Innovation Time taking a direction that you had planned already? And especially, how did you handle, for example, recruiting new members in times of COVID? Like, how do you handle all of that?
Regarding the recruitment part, it hasn't really changed because we were still allowed to meet in a face-to-face basis, in a one-to-one. So it didn't really change on the recruitment part, but of course all the projects we had to be adapted or reported, because there are things you can do when you have the resources, but it's also a new association. So for example, we've been focusing more on what's more relevant in times of COVID, according to the resources we had. If we had heard of the Goodwill initiative, maybe, and the ISEC, Goodwill and ISEC initiative, maybe we would have thought of different points. That's something we can even discuss after this session. But also on the failure part, I wanted to come back, because you said something very important that I wanted to say as well. So I want to emphasize that, because it's a very good point. I think that the people that are threatened about the failure is the ones who have never failed. And once you have failed once, you know that it's a learning. But that's very difficult to understand before you didn't live that at least once. And this turning point, at least to me, came when I had to make a presentation in front of 200 students for ISEC, because before I was part also of ISEC, and it didn't go well at all. But I've learned that I wanted to do it better, and to try a second time, and the second time it went perfectly. And since that time, I always take a challenge as an opportunity, either to do something great, either to learn. And I think that's also what we did with Innovation Time. We didn't know how the student world would react to this new association, because there were already some associations focusing a bit on entrepreneurship, but there wasn't one focusing only on that. And that's what we did, and we've been growing a lot, because we started in April 2019, and we were 3 when we started, and now we're 37 here in Geneva. So I think it's an amazing challenge that we've been doing and facing, and the events also. For example, on Monday we've been doing an amazing conference, as I said before, with the co-founder of Twint, and we wouldn't have set up a stage like that. We wouldn't have maybe recorded even the conference. We wouldn't have thought of that. Here it's the same with eSpace. So it's always an opportunity to do something different and to keep also all those experiences recorded, that you can put it back on demand. That's an impact that you can have. Now that's pretty much that.
Thank you a lot, Sébastien. And now I want to go to Taha, because you said something very interesting to me. You said that, well, you have a role which is to push the limits, and you work with very competent people. I feel like when you have this bright mind such as yours, sometimes you are maybe in a situation where you might end up like many entrepreneurs in a situation of, like, overload. You have too much to do. It's sometimes also stressful. Entrepreneurship is a stressful adventure. How do you make sure that you don't lose sight of your objectives, that you stay in touch, in connection with your team, to go more on the human and the relationship aspect of entrepreneurship?
I think it's a really good question. I don't think it's easy at all in terms of managing your emotions during this roller coaster, which it is. I mean, it's not just a physical roller coaster. I think many people can deal with the physical burden of entrepreneurship, which is significant, but the emotions that go with it are intense. Over the course of a day, you can go from elation to complete despair because you care so much, right? I think everyone goes through it in life. It's just that, this is your baby. So you're disproportionately emotionally affected. And I think it's something I'm working on. I think everyone has to work on it. And it's just a journey in terms of that. In terms of, having too much work, it's about prioritization. It's something I'm coming to terms with. And having the right people to work alongside you, and properly delegating within that context. So I've been lucky to be able to work with some amazing people, and we're hiring, we're growing, and to allow us to be able to take on these new initiatives. And then, where do I focus my time and try and focus on what I'm good at, and not necessarily, there's so many things I'm really not that good at. And I'm lucky to find people who are really, really good at those things. So it's about getting that balance. And then within that context, about dealing with the human side. I think, again, on my side, my responsibility is making sure that we adhere to our values and our vision, and being really, really clear on that. Once that is clear, if you can set up, and that's what we're constantly working on as we grow, if you can set up a framework for how decision-making is made, how culture is, how the hierarchy is in terms of its flatness, then you can scale. But if there's always one bottleneck, that's me or someone else, then it's not possible. But if the values are clear, the alignment is there, the structure in terms of decision-making and culture is there, then it becomes quite simple. I mean, quite simple. It's never easy, but it becomes easier. And then generally in terms of communication, we do things like all hands. We try and do one-on-ones. I mean, there's a lot more that we should do, for sure. But again, it's a journey, doing our best.
Mm-hmm. And now we head to Rudolf. So as we've said multiple times, you're the founder of the Systems Change Foundation. Change requires a lot of dialogue, and you've emphasized a lot on the notion of trust, on the notion of discussions, dialogues. How can you really bring such qualitative also discussions and trust in a group, in a community? What are your solutions to that? What's your experience?
For sure. I think you need, if you have good people in your network, you get other good people as well in the institution. That's important as well. Network is a really important thing, but a good network you get as well. For that, you need a good vision or a goal, right? It's the same for a project. It's not a problem what you do today. It's more so where would you like to go in the future? What's your goal to create? I think that's for us important as well. That's why we say why we have this foundation in Vaduz. It's not, as I mentioned, it's not about Liechtenstein at all. It's about just having a place where you can think independently and you can think in complex terms in ecosystem, how it's all connected, because our world, everything is connected. And in the industrial age, I think we learn to focus. Everything which is not your task, forget it, just do what, so be precise about it. And I think in the new reality, we have to bring it back, this complexity of things. And it's really difficult to do so, because two different realities in a way as well for work. But if you have a good story, you bring people together, you create a network, and with the network you can lead discussions. This is needed right now, because with the discussion you start, and with the network you start projects. But the people behind who are doing it.
Yeah, thank you a lot, Rodolphe. And now I head back to Gaëtan. So you've been leading an organization that has also multiple chapters in Switzerland. How did you manage this change? Like, did you set up a system for discussion, dialogue across, I don't know, the community, or how did you, create this space?
So yeah, of course, it's always very very challenging when you have because right now we have 9 offices all over Switzerland, and sometimes it's true that is challenging to have one focus and for us to go in the same way. For example, at the end we managed to work all together, so all ISEC in Switzerland work together for YFD. But of course at the beginning it was challenging. But what we're doing all the time is we have conferences where we meet all together, and that's where, for example, YFD started. So the first thing we did, and I think it was very important, is that we had the opportunity to have Taha with us. So he was there. He pitched the project to our members, and it was really good, for them to see that we were working with Goodwill and what it was very concretely. And then, of course, we had a space where they can ask questions and really to challenge a bit the status quo, to see, okay, what is the best. But at the end, all of us can kind of agree on, yes, we need to do it. Because right now we need to do something. If we're not doing anything, ISEC won't survive 1 or 2 years. So it was very, very good to see that the membership was okay. We're all together in that, and we'll try to achieve that. And I think it's the one way if we want to achieve something. So I was very lucky, I guess, to have the membership and my team that was on board in the same moment. And the result was that we managed to work all together. And that's something that maybe the pandemic bring to us, because before it was really this local chapter is doing something, the other one is doing something else. But the fact that we need to find a solution all together, it kind of bring us together. And I think that was a nice added value and something that we'll be able to work with. So that's pretty much it.
Just have a question. How did you manage to organize all the conference online? Was it online in a hybrid way?
So we have 2 conferences. The first one is only with the executive board. It was during August, so the COVID was pretty much low, and we did it physically, of course, with all the measure and the restriction you need to have. But the second one, then it's a bit a funny story, because we're planning to do it on physical as well. But what happened is in something 2-3 weeks, the second wave of COVID hit Switzerland. So at that time, we really sit together. We have 2 weeks, and we managed to switch it online. So one was physical, and the other one was online.
Mm-hmm. And you want to just bounce back on the whole thing, and from your perspective, Sébastien?
My perspective on how did I manage to organize all the innovation time.
It can be innovation time, also eSpace. How do you,
more. I think I'm going to talk more about innovation time, because eSpace we were a small team, so it was much easier to meet. We separated the whole team in 2, so we were 4 and 4. So we didn't have many problems for that for eSpace. But I think that innovation time has been hit hard during the first wave, because we weren't ready. I'd say to adapt directly to all that. And I think that all the new members that joined innovation time at the time were expecting to live an amazing physical experience, to meet new people, and we've been recruiting, I think, 20 people in February, and not even 2 weeks after that, we were all at home. So of course we've been doing online meetings. We've been trying to organize some online games in order to have fun together. But it's been very hard. And now for the second wave, we're trying to make it much better for everyone. We've been setting up Discord, in which you can have. Yeah. Do you know Discord?
Yeah, I know
Yeah.
it. Yeah.
Are you using it?
Not personally, but yeah, people have tried to get me on this platform.
All right, yeah. I haven't been using it before either, but it's Michel, the vice president, who has been implementing that, and I think it's great because there is you can have the professional part in which you work on the channels that in which you can write, and there are also the ones in which you can have a call by Teams, but you can also have a call all together. It's a very complementary platform, and we're trying to make it even more accessible to everyone. So yeah, I think it's kind of working, but to have the social experience of being in a student association when it's all online, it's still a big challenge because yeah.
So I hear that's the end of Slack, if I hear correctly.
For innovation time, it's getting down.
It's getting down. Okay, guys, we still have 4 minutes. So in order to close this session, I'd like each of you to also share maybe what will be your message to students that are maybe listening, younger students, older students, young professionals. Like, what's your message to this new generation? Taha, we start with you.
Yeah, I think I would say this has almost been a crash course like few would imagine. We have challenges ahead as a generation, whether it be the climate crisis, whether it be industries being created and destroyed, automation, the rest that we're aware of. So resilience is so important, and then adaptability. And I think as we said, as I once was told, it's not about getting it right. It's about being the quickest to find out you have it wrong and making that change. And that's what we kind of need as a society, as a generation, if we're to get to our goals. And I think we can. Let's come together and be resilient and be adaptable.
Rudolf, the floor is yours.
Think different and bring it to scale. Believe in yourself, because everything you can imagine is real. Just do it. And believe in yourself, yeah, as mentioned.
Gaëtan.
For me, I will tell them to join our event, YouthFutureDay. But more seriously, I think that's something that is important to understand, is that just try it. If you have an idea, if you see something, if you have a project, just go for it. As I said, like, it won't be perfect. You will make mistake, but that's the path. And move as fast as possible. Make your mistake. Make sure to learn from them. And at the end, like, I'm sure that the outcome could be great.
Sebastian.
To complement all those interesting messages, I think I'd say when you undertake something in a project, think about why you're doing it and what's the purpose. Is it also relevant according to your values? Why do you want to do that, and how do you want to do that, and what's the impact you want to have on society? Impact positively the society. That's, I think, the role of the younger generations from our world.
Thank you. So I'll close by saying and addressing also directly the audience to say that I think that we've had a beautiful panel, and so just there and just explore the world out there. Just experience whatever you can experience, because that's exactly what will bring you maybe in today or tomorrow in the place that will help you to still create even more. Don't be afraid to fail. I think that's been said multiple times. That's been said around, but it's not. Nobody will remember maybe your failures, but people will certainly remember your big successes. So just go out there, just do it. And I think that closes well this lunch break show. So really happy that you joined. Maybe a last word also from the team organizing the YouthFutureDay.
yes, maybe a last word. If you have any interest to maybe look for like opportunity in startups, companies, schools, or if you just want to see like what is going around, like just join our website on Goodwall. It's Goodwall / like Youth Future Day. We have as well like a lot of opportunity presentation that could be very interesting for you.
Gaëtan, thank you. Taha, thank you. Rodolphe, thank you. Sébastien, thank you. And thank you to all of you, and see you soon. Bye-bye.